Do you know why a prisoner dying of electric shock should be shaved and also had a wet mop on his head? To avoid fire? Nope. That helps electric came to the brain faster and kill the brain immediately. So, the hurt would be eased. It's time. The warder switched on the breaker. That man kept twitching. Yes, who can stand the death? The forensic doctor heard the heartbeat and shook his head. The warder pursed his lips. After being dead, he was laughed at by the warder Percy. The colleague shouted at him. He was not scared. On the next day, there was a new prisoner under sentence of death. There was a big black man. He's on bare feet and also got food cuffs that made the warder scared. If there is a riot, maybe 3 to 4 warders could control him. That guy Percy shouted out loud.
We got a dead man walking here. We got a dead man walking here.
Paul found it so offensive and asked him to shut up. Because the prisoner also should be respected. The prisoner stopped. Now Paul found out he's more than 2 meters tall, and with many wounds in the innocent face of a kid. He's so tensed and asked Paul then, "Will you turn off the light at night here?" And said that his name is John Coffey, like coffee. The warder released his handcuffs. He wanted to shake hands with Paul. So friendly, not like a monster. Paul was so curious about him and read the documents of him. 2 white girls died in his hands. When the parents came, he's holding their heads and crying out. Everyone thought that he's the culprit and he was captured. Paul was doubted. That night, Paul got up in pain. He dashed to the WC but fell and peed right there. Because of getting septic urinary bladder, each time he pees, it hurt. He lied there. Next day, the real pervert came. He's so arrogant. The warder had to help him to put on clothes. Coffey told Paul that this man was so dangerous. As a result, he attacked the warder and nearly killed one. Paul helped them and was kicked to his crotch. Percy was so obedient now. Luckily, the lead warder came and shut him down. Paul hurt so much and fell down. Coffey called Paul's name. He tried to stand up. When Paul didn't notice, Coffey dragged him. A hand touched his lower part. Coffey held Paul tightly. Then, all the lamps turned on. Until the lamps broken, Coffey released his hand. Paul kneeled down. And Coffey kept coughing. When he opened his mouth, many insects flied out. Paul could not believe it. "What did you do to me? I have just cured for you. I am so tired." Paul found his body better. He opened the toilet and enjoyed the best feeling. Coming home, his eyes to the wife was also different. He released the apron and they had a hot night together. Paul could not believe that the angel was considered as a demon. He came to meet the lawyer of Coffey but he insisted that Coffey was a demon and didn't want to help him. Paul also could not do anything. To thank Coffey, Paul wanted to give him some bread. Coffey shared it with other prisoner except for William. Because of getting angry, William spitted to Paul and peed to other warders. The warder taught him a lesson and dragged him to the dark room. After getting out, he chewed the biscuit and spit it on the face of the warder. The pervert was not only William, there was Percy. Every day he bullied the prisoner for fun. When he's happy, William dragged him. He didn't only kiss him but touching his lower part and laughed at him. When William released him, he was so scared and peed. Percy was so ashamed.
So the people witness.
Being prick is the passport of the bastard. He remembered this, and asked no one to laugh at him. Uncle Del had a rat named Jingles. When he dropped the can, the rat ran after it. He shouted in pain because this is the last hope of him. Percy came to provoke and left. Coffey held the rat. His tail moved. Then a golden light appeared. Everyone witnessed the magic. The rat was alive again. The warder taught Percy a lesson. Percy said that if they let him do the execution, he would leave then. Paul agreed. This time, the death visited Uncle Del. He gave Jingles to Coffey and left. They put a wet mob on his head. Then, the brain could die immediately and release the pain. This time, Percy didn't make the mob wet. Percy was like a monster from hell.
Roll on 2.
What they worried happened. The man shouted in pain. It was so terrified. Coffey suffered the same pain. It got chaotic. Percy was scared. This is the first time a prisoner burned to death. The action of Percy was hateful but no one can do anything to him. The wife of the lead warder got cancer. Sometimes she would say nonsense like being haunted. Paul and other warders decided to let Coffey cure for her. Passing William's cell, he was grabbed. Coffey was so painful, he might feel something. The thin and weak woman lying on the bed. Coffey kissed her in front of everyone. Her husband busted into tear. Then, a light was sucked from her mouth. The pendulum stopped, the glass window cracked, the room was rocked. This was the 3rd time the miracle appeared. The woman was back from the hell. Coffey started coughing but this time he tried to keep the insects. The woman got up, her eyes were gentle like an angel. She gave Coffey an amulet, they hugged together. Coffey suffered the pain and was taken to his holding cell. When Percy came to the cell, he grabbed him and put all the insects into his mouth. Percy was panicked like being haunted. He came to the cell of William. When William mocked, he cried. He looked at William and got the gun. He shot all the bullets, the insects flied from his mouth. Paul asked Coffee the reason why he did so. Coffee held Paul's hands and gave him some magical power. The culprit killing the two girls was William. This memory made Paul painful. When human could not distinguish the bad and the good, using the bad to deal with the bad is the most reluctant. He knew Coffee was free of charge but he could not do anything. Percy was lunatic and brought to the asylum. Before Coffee dies, the warder tried to make his dreams come true. Paul asked him if he wanted to eat anything or saw the preacher. Actually, he wanted to ask, "Do you want me to release you?" and run away. Coffee stopped Paul. The angel was so tired in this world. That's enough. Everyone and Coffee watched a movie named Heaven. This is the first time Coffee revealed the satisfying smile. Before the execution, everyone gathered at the hall. He could felt the cold malice of people. The warder said. Coffee nodded his head and cried like a kid. He sat on the electric chair. Some warder cried. Coffee was scared of darkness and he didn't want to wear the mask. Paul informed him about his death. Many years later, Paul thought that he killed an angel. The superpower that Coffee gave him became the curse from the god. He suffered the pain while witnessing the beloved leaving. Living alone in the darkness. He also has the friend, the rat having superpower from Coffee. The angel came to our chaotic world to save many lives but they could not save themselves. The angel came but left in vain. The movie today has ended. See you next time.